Okay, so like most people, I assume, I've always had a love-hate relationship with the Oscars. I used to watch them every year, but then I stopped for a variety of reasons. There isn't any one reason. Believe it or not, 8 out of the 10 Best Picture films this year are on streaming. 2 of them you have to rent, which is nice. I feel like that's a nice change of pace. I think the Academy has realized that it's much more interesting to watch the ceremony when you've actually seen the movies, let alone heard of them. So like I said, most of these movies you can actually watch, which is nice. So I'm going to rank the Best Picture nominees according to me. Of course, I am not Nostradamus. I don't sports center this stuff out like a lot of other people can do. You know, if the Oscars gets it wrong, we know it's because it's a popularity contest. But anyways, I'm going to be ranking the Best Picture movies, and I'm also going to kind of give you my picks for all the other categories. I probably won't go into them too much, but I'll go into them at the end. I didn't watch any shorts. I didn't watch any of the documentaries, sadly. Although I did watch a lot of news documentaries, like Frontline and stuff like that. Which, if you look at the Writers Guild Awards, for some reason, they just created a category just for PBS, I feel. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, here we go. Okay, so right off the bat, I feel like I have to defend this first one, because it got nominated 9 times. And it did really well at all the other festivals. It seems to have been a crowd favorite. It's done very well at all the other award ceremonies. Sentimental value. Yeah, I think that this movie is very overrated. So this movie does have a lot of great performances. Stellan Skarsgård is fantastic. Also Renate Riesva and Ellie Fanning randomly. Like, she's turning out to be exceptional in my opinion. Like, she doesn't have a whole lot to do in the movie, but she still knocks it out of the park every time she's in a scene. Like, she has one of the hardest roles, I feel, that an actor can play, which is an actor who has to act like they're acting. For some reason, I think that's one of the hardest things for an actor to do in a movie, which is why I think Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drive is probably one of my favorite performances of all time, because she does that in that movie, and it's phenomenal. But performances aside, this movie leaves a lot to be desired. Like, it's being nominated for a bunch of things that I don't really think it deserves, like editing. It does this weird fade to black thing that I don't really understand why it does it. Like, it feels unnecessary to me. The story also has some, like, cliches. Like, the house is, like, sort of like a symbolic object of the relationship between the father and the daughter, and we've seen that 100 times in movies, and it can be done well, but like, I just feel like it's a bit on the nose, I feel. But actually, my biggest pet peeve with this movie probably has to do with shaky cam, because like, I think that there's a way to use shaky cam in an artistic way. Like, The Hurt Locker is probably one of the best uses of shaky cam in a movie. Like, in a war setting or like an action thriller or something like that, shaky cam makes a lot of sense, and you can even use it artistically. But I feel like too often shaky cam is just lazy. It's like cinematic shorthand for, ooh, the scene has a lot of tension and anxiety. And to me, it always feels manipulative. Like, whenever you use shaky cam in a scene that doesn't really warrant it. Like, another example would be Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which almost has this documentary feel at times, where the camera's just going throughout the house and following the characters around, and it's really chaotic and it's emotionally intense, and I think in those types of scenes it's brilliant. But there are scenes in this movie where, like, they're just sitting in a restaurant talking, and it's a shot reverse shot. So they like took the time to like map it out, like to create a shot list of like a shot reverse shot, but they didn't put it on a tripod. And I'm just like, why? Like, just put it on a tripod. Like, what are you doing? And I would have thought that this was just lazy, but later in the movie, there's a line of dialogue drawing attention to it. Like, they're talking about the movie within the movie that they're making, and there's a line about using shaky cam as opposed to putting it on a tripod or on a dolly. And I'm just like, oh, so you're doing this on purpose. Okay, so you're drawing attention to the fact that you're doing it on purpose. That doesn't make it better. That makes it worse. So yeah, I feel like for that reason, the film feels kind of pretentious to me. But like I said, within what they had to work with, I thought there were some great performances. I would not be upset if the actors in this movie walked away with an award. But yeah, all the other categories like editing and screenplay even, like I don't really feel like the screenplay warrants an Oscar either. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still a good movie, but Best Picture? I don't think so. So the next one's F1. I don't know that there's a whole lot to say about this one. Most people are going to have this at the bottom of their list because it's just kind of like, this movie's just happy to be on the list. Like, it's a fine movie. But a lot of people have pointed out that, you know, the story's very lacking. There could have been a lot more. Like, Brad Pitt's definitely a character actor, and he has the range to do a lot more than what they give him to do in this movie. But I will say, like, all the technical awards, like, if it walks away with visual effects or sound, totally fine with that, because they really did some cool stuff with this movie. Like, the fact that the race scenes, they had, like, a 9-camera setup where they were filming the race with 9 different cameras and editing it all together. I feel like that's pretty impressive. So it's definitely not Best Picture worthy, but I'm happy to see it on the list. If for no other reason than I would like to see Apple get some more love, because I feel like Apple really tries when it comes to the quality of things. But yeah, it's kind of a fun movie, very watchable, very rewatchable, but Best Picture, no. Okay, so number 8 is The Secret Agent, which is a Brazilian movie starring Wagner Moura, who's up for an Oscar for this movie. I'm not entirely sure why. I think he's fine, but I didn't really see anything in the movie that warrants like a lead actor nomination. But I think mostly what I like about the movie is the look of it. It kind of has this 1970s grindhouse look where it's highly saturated. I really like the immersive nature of the movie. Like, you really feel like you're there, which is very hard to pull off if it's a period movie, and I always appreciate it when that happens. And I feel like it wasn't just one scene. Like, a lot of period movies cheat a little bit, where they take a scene that has like all the production value is in the scene that opens the movie, and you're just like, whoa, I'm like in the world, and then you never get back to it again. Like, most of the other scenes are like these low-key scenes that are much more easier to pull off. I think the performances are great all throughout it. The only thing I didn't really like was the story kind of meanders, and it's a bit confusing and hard to follow at times. It's kind of tricky because it's such a big cast too. So if you have such a big cast or such a big movie, a lot of times it's hard to follow like who all the characters are, and wait a minute, we saw him earlier in the movie. Who is he again? Oh yeah, he's that guy. So sometimes you figure out what's going on based on context clues that are just because you missed a critical piece of information in the scene before it, but you know, you're being caught up kind of thing. So it's a bit hard. Like, you cannot be looking at your phone when you're watching this movie. You have to pay attention if you're going to watch this movie. So it is a great film. You know, it's about some counter-revolutionaries in Brazil that are living under military dictatorship. So it's very timely. There are certain things that I like about it that I'm not going to share because they would be spoilers. But yeah, I thought it was a good film. I do think it's a better pick than Sentimental Value for International Feature. As I'll point out later, there's a better movie that didn't even get nominated at all in that category. So moving on though, Marty Supreme. Some people probably would rank this a little bit higher. I don't know, but I definitely like Josh Safdie as a director. I thought Uncut Gems was it was so brilliant. It was like a magic trick that you just want to pick apart to figure out how it happened. Like, how does it work? How did that movie work? I feel like thematically he's doing something very similar, where you have a character who's up against all odds, and you know, you really just want to root for him, but the problem is the character in Marty Supreme is not likable at all. I've heard people give completely different reactions to this movie. Some people love this movie, some people hate it, but the people who hate it, they usually point out that he is such an unlikable character. And I feel like I figured it out, because he's clearly making a movie that's kind of in the same spirit as Scorsese, but he's missing a very critical part. And that's the downfall. Like, there's usually a downfall when his characters do very awful, despicable things sometimes, but they always pay for it. But I don't really feel like Marty pays for it in this movie. There is the one scene involving a ping pong paddle, and a certain Shark Tank star, which, by the way, like, getting Kevin O'Leary to be in this movie, like, it shouldn't work, but it does. Because he's not really an actor, but, like, he doesn't really need to act. I think they just got him and they were like, no, I just want you to be yourself. Can you be yourself in this scene? And I could just imagine him being like, is this too much? No, that's perfect. You are, that is the perfect amount of smarmy businessman that we need in this scene right here. Also, Penn Jillette is in this movie randomly. I love Penn Jillette. He's like one of my favorite people. Also, Gwyneth Paltrow is also brilliant in this movie. It's a bit on the nose because you have an actress who's making a comeback playing an actress in the movie who's making a comeback. So it's a bit on the nose, but so generally speaking, great cast. I think that they made some interesting decisions with this movie with respect to the cast, but yeah, I couldn't really get behind the story because I feel like it was gearing up for a totally different ending. I feel like he should have been made to kiss the pig at the end. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The fact that it didn't go that way, like it actually works out, and I don't think it should have. I don't think it was earned. And for me, that's like a big flaw. I feel like I like so much about the movie, but it just doesn't come together for me. I didn't really understand why there was music from the 80s and music from the 50s when it takes place in the 50s. I read some explanation that it has to do with Marty's mentally living in the future. I don't really buy that. It doesn't really make any sense, but it does have a fun soundtrack, I suppose. So number 6 is Frankenstein. This is one of those movies where I like the idea of it more than I liked the movie itself. I think it's great. It's a great film. It's beautiful to look at. The production design and the cinematography. I think it's up for costume this year. And the makeup. I feel like this movie is a shoo-in for the makeup. Kind of strange that Del Toro did not get in for directing, but I love the opening sequence. It's probably my favorite sequence in the whole movie. But yeah, overall, I think it's a fine film. I don't think it's Best Picture, though. So 5th is Begonia. Begonia is kind of an interesting one because I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I mean, I love Emma Stone. I'm kind of on the fence about Yorgos Lanthimos, to be honest. I think he's a fine director, but he doesn't always make movies that I find appealing because I feel like his characters are very hard to relate to. But in this movie, that's not the case. It's also just a genuinely funny movie. Like most of the movies that got nominated this year, like every year, are pretty depressing, but this movie is just genuinely funny. Like, I don't remember laughing this much in a movie. I thought Jesse Plemons absolutely deserved an Oscar nomination. Supposedly he got one at the SAG Awards, which are now called the Actor Awards, stupidly. But yeah, he deserved that. I think he carries this movie. I mean, he literally carries the movie. Like, he's making all the decisions, and so the plot kind of ebbs and flows based on what he does in the movie, and he just knocks it out of the park. But yeah, Emma Stone getting nominated, she's not going to win, obviously, but like I saw someone say that Emma Stone's basically like the Meryl Streep of our time. She's just like so good that whatever she does, she just gets a nomination for it, whatever it is, because she's just that good. And that might be accurate. Like, she's not going to win. Like, you know you're good when you get nominated and everyone's just like, oh, yeah, of course you get nominated. But, like, she is really good in this. So, also screenplay, I think this is deserving of a screenplay nomination as well. So, I thought the writing was great, hilarious, like I said. So, yeah, I would definitely be happy if this won, but it's not going to. Number 4 is Hamnet. This actually won at the Golden Globes. Okay, so Hamnet's interesting. It's based on the true story of Shakespeare. He lost his son when he was 11 years old, and so it's a dramatization of that. And so obviously it's a very dark film, very heavy movie. Great music, great production design. The performances are all pretty great. But Jessie Buckley is the shoo-in. She's like expected to win it because she's basically been winning at all the award shows. And I see it. I see it's a fantastic performance. There were some times where I feel like it was a bit much. Just a few times, though. You know, like other films on this list, this one deals heavily with grief. And you know, grief is not an easy thing to pull off as far as acting goes. So I definitely want to give her flowers for that. I did have a little bit of a spoiler, kind of a half spoiler, because I knew that On the Nature of Daylight was used in this movie, which is the music that has been used multiple times in movies. It was used in Arrival, which is that alien movie that has Amy Adams. I thought that music was brilliant, and then I didn't realize that that is not original music. It was written in 2004 by Max Richter, who's the composer for this movie. And it's kind of weird that as a composer, you can just reuse your own music in a different movie. And so I feel like he's been nominated for the music in this movie, and I want to say it's like they're actually nominating him for that piece of music specifically, because they've never gotten a chance to nominate him for that, except they did in Arrival. And also Shutter Island, it was used in that movie too. It's a beautiful piece of music. If you've never heard it, I would just go listen to it right now. It's beautiful. And the spoiler is that I knew that song was in this movie and I hadn't heard it yet. And so I'm like, the movie's winding down, so they're probably going to end the movie with that song. And it was beautiful. It was amazing. It was probably the best use of that piece of music. And honestly, that single piece of music is probably the reason why that movie did so well. Like, it just leaves such a strong impression on you. So part of me wants to say, like, this is a movie that's a crowd pleaser because of certain things about the movie that if you take a step back and you analyze the entire movie, you'll probably find issues with it. But we're not going to do that because we just liked it that much. Like, we just loved the overall feeling that it gave us as we left the theater. So it's one of those types of movies where it's a very hard watch for most of the movie, but if you stick it out to the end, you will be rewarded. So I wouldn't be too upset if this won. I would be a little shocked just based on what else is on here, but yeah, it's a good movie. So that's Hamnet. Okay, so number 3 for me is Train Dreams. I'm not sure if I have to defend this one that much, but I loved this movie. From start to finish, I felt like I was in good hands from the very beginning. The way the voiceover just kind of eases you into the story and just carries you throughout the entire story. It's such a good use of voiceover in this movie to tell just a very simple story about a man's life and all of the hardships he endures. And the cinematography in this movie it's like a character in and of itself. Every single frame could be a painting. And more than that, I feel like the whole approach is to tell the story cinematically as much as literally, like with the voiceover. So I feel like throughout the movie, information is being conveyed to you visually, and a lot of the story is being told visually. There are visual motifs that if you're paying attention, they show up throughout the movie, and it changes the meaning of what you're seeing sometimes. Like, there's so many different Easter eggs in this movie. It's like Terrence Malick, but if Terrence Malick made sense. Like, Terrence Malick movies are very hard to follow, but not this movie. This movie is very easy to follow. It's very straightforward, and it runs the gambit of emotion. If you watch this movie and you don't feel anything, then you just don't have a soul, plain and simple. Like, I'm actually at a point in my life where the thing I want to get most out of movies is to feel something, which might be why I don't really care as much for sentimental value, because I didn't really feel anything while watching that, except in a few scenes where the performance is just so strong. But overall, I don't feel like the movie's connecting with me, right? But this is a movie where I connected with the movie the whole time. Also, I should point out Clint Bentley, the director, kind of a new director. This is only like his 3rd or 4th movie, so props to him. I think he's got a very lucrative career in front of him if he keeps making movies like this, I think. Like, we all know the 2 front runners this year. I'm about to get to them in a second, but this one's a close 3rd. It's definitely worth checking out. It's on Netflix, so I would say check it out. It's a pretty good movie. Of course, that brings us to the 2 front runners, and this is like a toss-up between One Battle After Another and Sinners. My vote for second place, though, is probably going to be One Battle After Another. Now, this movie seems to have been the front runner as soon as it came out. Everybody was just like, best movie of the year, hands down. And I think Sinners kind of slowly grew after that. But One Battle After Another is a very, very good movie. It's probably one of PTA's best. I definitely don't think it is his best. His best is probably There Will Be Blood. That was the year he actually got snubbed. So he's been snubbed multiple times. I also think he was snubbed for Magnolia for screenplay. He was nominated, though. But anyways, this movie deserves every category it was nominated for. It's another one of those movies where it's such a wild movie that takes risks and it does things that you don't see very often in movies. The editing is really interesting. The cinematography, like he's got the oneers in this movie too, like the one-take shots. The shot where Benicio del Toro's character is introducing Leonardo DiCaprio's character to the hideout where all the revolutionaries are hanging out, and he's just guiding him through peacefully while Leonardo DiCaprio's character is just like manic and crazy the whole time. That whole shot is, I think it's on par with the shot from Sinners that everybody's talking about. It's such a good example of confident filmmaking, of somebody who really knows his craft, who goes and picks the best people for the best roles. And I would not be surprised if this movie swept, and if it did, I would not be upset at all. Johnny Greenwood's soundtrack is also pretty haunting and great. I mean, everybody's talking about the chase scene towards the end and the editing and the cinematography of that whole thing, but really it's the whole movie. It is definitely quite the crowd pleaser. But of course, as much as I love PTA, I love horror movies even more, so I have to go with Sinners at number 1. I am blown away by how well this movie is doing. I loved it when it came out, and I thought that it would do a little well. I thought maybe cinematography, maybe makeup, or something like that, but for it to sweep, like this movie is doing so stupidly well. So for those who don't know, this movie broke the record. It got nominated 16 times, most of any movie in history, for a vampire movie, which is just bonkers to me. That like we live in, I keep telling people that we live in the golden age of horror, and this just kind of confirms it. Like even The Exorcist didn't get nominated that many times, but it also got nominated in every category that it qualified for. So it literally couldn't get nominated any more than it did. Which is just bonkers. I'm not so sure if it's going to sweep like people might think, just based on the fact that it got 16 nominations, because some of the categories are kind of competitive. So it really just depends. But this is one that I really wished I had seen it in IMAX. The cinematography is gorgeous. I mean, everybody's talking about that scene in the barn, which is brilliant. But really, the whole movie is just brilliant, like in terms of the way it's filmed. I think Best Original Screenplay is definitely warranted as well. Recently, I started going back and watching all of the Academy Award Best Picture nominees, starting from the beginning, and let me just tell you, there are some stinkers. But the question that I'm asking when I'm going through those movies is, what are the movies that we're gonna be talking about for years to come? Because that movie should be the one that wins. And I think that Sinners is going to be the one that we're talking about for years. This is a huge moment. If you watch the SAG Awards and Michael B. Jordan won for Best Actor and the whole thing won for Best Ensemble Cast, it was a moment. And I think Hollywood's taking note of that. It's not just about the multiracial cast, although that's part of it. It just feels different. It feels like the Academy is changing. The whole industry is changing. And the movie is literally about, in a sense, the corrupting power of art and entertainment, and how even if you have a gift and you bring people to you, you're also going to bring the devil in. You know, if you are good at what you do, if you can strum a guitar, if you are good at making art, then the people with money are going to show up and try and corrupt it. They're going to try and take control of it. They're going to try and use it to their own ends. I feel like this movie is making a big statement about the industry, and the industry is obviously going through a moment right now, and I feel like this movie, it just makes sense for this movie to win. So I think this is the movie that should win. It just feels right for the moment, right? I think One Battle After Another, I would be more than happy if that one won, because that's also right for the moment, but for a different reason. But Sinners feels a lot more personal to the industry. So for that reason, I feel like this is going to win, and it should win, in my opinion. So when I say that this should win, and I'm not just saying that because it's a hard horror movie with vampires in it. A vampire movie that is not withholding, by the way. Like, you would expect a more Oscar baity horror movie to be more of an elevated horror movie that doesn't have a whole lot of horror in it, but this is like a full-on horror movie. And that's just another reason I love it. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the rest of the categories, the ones that I feel like I can comment on. Like I said, I didn't do any of the short films or the documentaries, so I'm not going to look at those. But again, this is just what I want to win. This is my wish list. I'm probably not going to do very well. Like if I was actually predicting what I think will win, I'll probably be way off. So this is just what I personally want to win. So visual effects, I actually would love to see The Lost Bus win for visual effects. This one kind of flew under the radar. Not a lot of people saw this movie, but it's based on the Paradise Fire that happened in Northern California. I actually did some work in that area, and I actually talked to some of the people who were in that fire. I wouldn't sleep on that movie. It's probably going to go to Avatar. If it were me, I would pick The Lost Bus. Best sound will probably go to F1, because why not? We got to give it some love. So original song, I feel like that's just going to go to Golden. K-pop Demon Hunters. This movie, like, I don't know that you can think of another song. Like, if you didn't watch any movies this year, that's the only song that you probably heard. It was everywhere. It was like Let It Go. It was everywhere. But I would say I lied to you. I would be totally fine if that wins too. And in fact, that's probably more appropriate to win because it actually is featured in the song and it's very important to the story. So I would actually say I Lied to You from Sinners probably should win. Also, the song by Nick Cave for Train Dreams was also pretty good, and also very relevant to the movie. Original score, I feel like this has to go to Sinners because the music plays such a huge role in that movie, and it's not wasted. I already said Hamnet is kind of cheating by being nominated because there's music that's being nominated here that has already appeared in other movies. So I feel like it's like the whole reason why that movie specifically was nominated was because of that one little piece of music at the end that has already appeared in movies. But yeah, this one's got to go to Sinners. And if not Sinners, at least One Battle After Another. I mean, Johnny Greenwood's music is fantastic in that movie. Makeup and hairstyling, I'm going to go against the grain on this and say The Ugly Stepsister. Again, I'm a huge fan of horror, but I actually think this one is warranted. Like, if you've seen that movie, it's a body horror movie. It's kind of a retelling of the Cinderella story, but from the stepsister's point of view. And it's a fantastic film. That's a film that I feel like was a little bit snubbed this year. Like, if you're going to take a moment to notice the makeup, you should notice the writing was pretty good. The performances were also pretty good. This one's probably going to go to Frankenstein, but I would pick The Ugly Stepsister. Costume design will probably go to Frankenstein. I don't know why Avatar was nominated. Like, it's practically an animated movie. Like, what? Like, I'm sure they had costumes in that movie, but like, come on. But yeah, Frankenstein will probably win, as it should. Sinners might have a shot too. Like, I mean, Ruth Carter was nominated for this, and you'll remember she made history when she was nominated for Black Panther and won. And she's actually been nominated. This will be her 5th nomination, actually. So that could be pretty special to see her win again, but my money's on Frankenstein. Production design, I think I would like to see Frankenstein win, and it might. But I can also see Marty Supreme and Sinners doing well. I would also not be super upset if Hamnet won, even though, like, it's a much smaller movie. They took the time to rebuild the Globe Theater, the famous Globe Theater where Shakespeare's plays were historically presented, because they did rebuild the Globe Theater, but the director said that it was too ornate to use. So they just rebuilt their own. And I always appreciate a movie where if you're going to build a whole set just for that, that's pretty special. Film editing, I feel like this has to go to One Battle After Another. I don't even think it's a close call for me. Like, that's one of the things that stands out in that movie. So I'm not even going to talk about the others. Like, it has to go to that movie. Cinematography, Train Dreams. Like I said, the cinematography is so good. I would be happy with Sinners and One Battle After Another. But, like, Train Dreams, like, it probably won't get anything. But if it gets one thing, it should be cinematography. So Best International Film, this is the one where I feel like the one that got robbed was No Other Choice. This movie was fantastic. It's by the same guy that did The Housemaiden and Old Boy and Snowpiercer and a bunch of movies. Like he's just a very accomplished director, and the fact that he didn't even get nominated in this category, I just don't understand. So I kind of don't care who wins, to be honest. But out of this list, I would probably say The Secret Agent. Best animated feature isn't even close. It's K-pop Demon Hunters, like Zootopia 2, really? Like, we know what's going to win in this category. So moving on to the above line categories, casting. This is a new category. Again, the SAG Awards gave this to Sinners, and I think that fits. I think that Sinners will probably take this one. I do like the casting choices in One Battle After Another and also Marty Supreme. Like I said, the casting of non-actors is a very interesting choice, and it works somehow. So I think I could easily see this going to Marty Supreme, but my money's on Sinner. Screenplay is kind of near and dear to my heart. I always appreciate a movie that has a very good screenplay, and the only one out of these two categories I didn't see was Blue Moon, which was Richard Linklater's movie. I didn't get around to watching it yet, and I kind of feel bad about that. But I definitely think original screenplay needs to go to Sinners. It just does. An adapted screenplay, One Battle After Another. Again, any chance we can give PTA another Oscar, I'm just gonna go with it. But if not that one, I would say Train Dreams. It does not have a chance, I don't think, but I would love to see Train Dreams because I just really liked the story. Like, it was such a well-told story. Best Supporting Actress, Amy Madigan. I will not accept any others. I will not accept anyone else winning this category. It must be Amy Madigan. And she won the SAG Award, so she's got a shot. Weapons, I feel like, was a little bit snubbed. I think that it could have easily gotten screenplay. It had a very interesting non-linear 6-act structure, I want to say. Like, there were 6 distinct acts, and I thought it was a very interesting way to tell the story. But there were other performances in there. Josh Brolin was great. The directing was great. I could have easily seen a director nod. So I definitely feel like Weapons got snubbed a little bit, but I will take Amy Madigan. Supporting actor, Sean Penn. I don't see any of the other names. It's got to be Sean Penn because he's unrecognizable in that movie. He is such a singular villain in that movie. Some people are saying that they probably won't pick him because he's not going to award shows anymore. He just is just not showing up, and he's not selling his performance at all to any of the members. So, but if we're going purely on merit, it's got to be him. Like, none of the other people in this category come close. They're all fine. These are fine performances, but it's got to be Sean Penn. And then Best Actress obviously is going to go to Jessie Buckley, but my money's on Rose Byrne. Rose Byrne in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. This movie it's so intense. Like, I don't know what else I would have picked it for. Maybe a screenwriting credit because it's such a bonkers story. But I think Rose Byrne has a lot more to do than Jessie Buckley in Hamnet. Like, Rose Byrne she's not just crying. She's not just sad. She's not grieving. I mean, she is grieving, but she's doing a lot of other things. Like, there are scenes where she's not crying because she's exhausted. She has no energy to cry. So she has to act like a person who doesn't even have the energy to cry. And it's a lot of the movie. So I feel like that's by far the best performance out of this list. Kate Hudson, like, what? Best actor is kind of tricky for me because, I mean, I think everybody expects this to go to Timothée Chalamet, but apparently he is just as arrogant in real life as he is in the movie, which just makes me think, like, maybe he wasn't really acting in the movie. Maybe he just is that way. Maybe he is a narcissist. Right? So maybe that wasn't the best performance. And that's my argument for why that's not the best performance in this category. I actually think the best performance is Leonardo DiCaprio, which no one's thinking about that one because he's been nominated so many times. But again, if we're going based on merit, I mean, he is completely unrecognizable in that movie. He is not Jordan Belfort. He is some stoner who has been asked to be a revolutionary because he wanted to get laid one time. And He's just really bad at it. He's just so hopelessly bad at everything. And I just really liked his performance. I would be happy with Michael B. Jordan winning. I think, like I said, that was a very good moment at SAG when he won. So I would be happy if he won, but my money's actually on Leo. It's probably not a popular pick. I mean, nobody seems to want to pick him to win, and nobody seems to think he's going to win. But I think just based on the merit, I mean, he's a veteran. I mean, he's done this multiple times, and there's a reason why he's nominated again. So it's because he's good. And then finally, Best Director, I got to give it to Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, this is his time. He needs this. He deserves this. Okay, this is his Departed. Okay, this is the time. He's been nominated so many times and he's never won. Not one time. And it's a travesty. So I think this is the time. I mean, I appreciate Ryan Coogler and what he has done. I think we give him the Best Picture. And we just let the whole world know that Sinners was the best movie of the year. But the Best Director, living today, making movies today, needs to get an Oscar for directing. It just needs to happen. So if it's not, but if it's not one of those two, then I would consider it a huge snub, because it's got to be one of them two, and it should be Paul Thomas Anderson. Okay, so I don't think I missed anything, but sorry if that last part was too long. But like I said, most of these movies I did see. I didn't see Blue Moon. I will definitely be checking that out. Some of the other movies I never got around to seeing, but also didn't get nominated. Die My Love, The Testament of Anne Lee was supposedly getting a lot of buzz. That's a musical with Amanda Seyfried, which was supposed to be really good, but it hasn't gotten anything really. And also Sorry Baby. So I might check those out later, but I didn't see a reason to. But yeah, that's what I think of the movies that got picked this year. But yeah, I don't really know like why the movies that get picked are the ones that get picked. But of the ones that got picked, this is what I think. So we'll see how I did on Sunday. Probably not very well. We got Conan O'Brien again, who's gonna hopefully stick the landing like he did last year. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But there you go. All right, I'll see you in the next video.